Hello my friends, welcome to today's video. Now we've got a 91 club car here, which we've done a lot of work on if you've seen some of our previous videos. But now we're embarking on the most ambitious project on here we've done so far. We're going to take it from a resistor cart to a solid state cart. Now this is what I've got that we're going to be putting in here. I've got a Curtis style controller. These are just $100. It's 500 amp. I went ahead and got the bigger amperage. It's good for 36 or 48 volts. This one's programmed specifically for 48. Putting in a new solenoid, heavy duty. This is your pot box to control your speed. You gotta hook it to the accelerator. Putting in a new heavy duty 48 volt forward and reverse switch. So the plan here is we're trying to do it under $250 and try to use the existing wiring and see how it goes. Pull that seat off. There we go. We're running a big battery Husky 2 in here. I switched this out from lead acid 36 volt and put in a 48 volt lithium iron phosphate battery. This thing's been great. It's got an on off power switch here. It is currently off. So we will start by pulling the battery out. All right, let's lift this battery out. It's only 105 pounds. Interesting. Back looks good. I thought that'd be melted right there because as you can see down here, this wood is burnt because it caught on fire right there. Let's look at the front of the battery. There you go. See, this one's melted right here when the forward and reverse switch caught fire, but still works. All right, before I start unhooking stuff, I'm going to take a bunch of pictures of it. This is what you do so that later on when your project drags out for months and you forget where everything goes, you've got pictures to figure out how to put this back together. All right, that should definitely help. Some of it's pretty obvious. Some of it gets a little more tricky. Okay, this is how you unhook your throttle. These can get stuck a bit. I put a little WD-40 on it. Mine's not really stuck because I take it off. I've replaced the V-Glide so many times. Slides forward, slides off. It's that easy. You got a little bolt under here and one on the other side, but they are such a pain in the butt to get off, and this V-Glide is destroyed. I'm just going to do this. And that's how you easily remove your V. But you can see this melted completely off. These have been burnt, melted. They just get too hot. It did fine driving on flat ground, but it is not like the mountains. We're going to hook. This is your positive going to your motor. Take that off. Undo these. Okay, there it is. There's your resistors, your V-Glide, all pulled out. Never need that again. Thank goodness. I've got a bunch of it pulled out. Got my solenoids out. Got to figure out where to put this solenoid, which is probably going to end up more like over in this area because I've got plenty of room here. I believe this will go over here. So I'm going to start figuring out how to get all this in, start playing with it, and we'll come back to it when I've got it more figured out. So I decided to bench test this to kind of wrap my brain around how it's going in the golf cart because I have not messed with this before. This is all new to me. So I've got this is the battery from the golf cart. I'm going to turn that on now. I've just got jumper cables. Everything's just done with cables. We've got the jumper cables up here to the positive and negative onto the controller. This is jumping to the lights. This is powering the key switch, which I've got this wired in to be the key switch, which is, you don't really need a key switch for testing it because you could just clip this to this. This just needs power. So you need power into here, and then your potentiometer comes into here. these two lower ones, the pop box. So if I turn this on, it powers the unit. And then this pop box is your 0 to 5. Just pull that. There you go. So we're driving slow, going fast. So essentially this is replacing the V-Glide, which I always burn out. As you can see, it's all melted and destroyed. So that's replacing that. And then the coil springs are being replaced by the solid state Curtis controller over here. That's replacing your coil. So we just got to take this, wire it all in there. So with the lights, they're hooked in series, 12 volt lights, 12, 24, 36, 48, to get a 48 volt load on it. So your positive hooks into this end of the light string, negative into these. Yeah, now I just got to put it in the golf cart and figure out how to get this wired up to the motor. So the best information I found surfing the internet for figuring all this out is the Curtis control manual on the internet that I found. We're doing the bench test. There's on page 33. But I'll put a link to this manual in the description because it's got a lot of good information. We'll be referring to it a lot as we do this project. So let's go wire it into the car. We've got everything wired up. It's functional now. I've tested it. Now it's time for some technical stuff. So we've got the thingamajig here hooked up to the thingamabob. It's going to the doohickey. It's coming over to this thing, over to the whatchamacallit, and it's powering that thing. So there you go. And that's how it's done. I'm just funning with you. We're going to get right in here and I'll show you exactly how I did this. So we're going to start with the pop box. So this, I've had these flat pieces of metal and I bent them, which gave me lots of adjustment for screwing these on. That's how I mounted it. And then here where I hooked up the accelerator, I ended up cutting this back. It was clear down here and I ended up cutting it back. And then the bolt that came on this little nub here, I'm not sure what this is called, but this piece right here, the bolt that came on the back of it was too tall. And so you can see these screws down in here. It was hitting these screws being on the back of that. And I was trying to find a shorter nut to put on there, and I didn't have one. It's a 1/4 inch fine threads, and all I had is coarse thread. I had this whole pile of nuts I went through, and I could not find the right size nut. So I ended up actually welding this into here because I did not have the right size nut. But for me, Home Depot's too far away, and my welder was handy. Hook this back up. And you can see that's, so the reason I had to come clear up here is because down here I didn't have enough range. As you can watch, as I push the accelerator, it's giving me full range. So you want to be clear up tight as you can to have that full range of motion. See, there you go. Works just fine. And I actually did not wire up this switch right here. I'm not even going to use it. It's not needed for this application. So that's the pop box. Okay, so the next thing I wired in is the controller. Now I found to do the controller, it's kind of a lot there. I started my brain was melting, but to simplify it, in the manual, page 13. So I did a lot of between page 13 and page 10. Between these two pages, I was able to figure it out pretty well. But the easiest thing to do is just take it a step at a time. So the first thing I did was I hooked up M. And see, that's real easy. You're just going from here over and onto your forward and reverse switch. So I was hooking up forward and reverse switch at the same time. I'm going to just pull that out. And so, as you can see, M was going to the bottom here, right here. Now I've just hooked up one wire. Then I went into here and I grabbed another wire to do, and I did the negative. Simple. You're just from your negative battery, which to me is actually just my negative bus bar. I just ran my negative from that right here over. I know it's confusing because they're all in there, but to the negative there. So you just follow it one wire at a time. So if you go back and forth, you can look and see how they, because this does not really show you your forward and reverse wiring, and that's where this comes into play. But this doesn't really show your pop box on there, so that's why I go between the two. So your positive, you got two wires coming off the positive here. This one goes over to A1. And so what I did is on my motor, because the print is really small, I took a marker, and as you can see, I wrote nice big numbers on there. So your A1 coming off the top, coming over, hooking onto here. So A2 hooks from here over onto the A2. So that's pretty simple. It's just A2 over. So it comes over here, and it's going to hook on here on the positive side. And then the other wire right here is coming over to your positive here on the other side of the solenoid. So that's the positive side. And then this one's real simple. You've got your A2 right here, which is going to hook onto the A2, which is here. But I actually hooked it up this way. I hooked up my A2 into here, and so this is hooking them two together. This is A2 and this is A2. And so that's how you hook up the back side of that. Then you come over here, and now you're going to hook up your S2 and your S1 that's going to the field. So the A, that's the armature. S1, S2, that's the field. And you just hook those up right here. So your S2 just hooks on here over to S2. And then this one's your S1, hook from here over to S1. So that's how you hook up the controller. Okay, now we're going to talk about the key switch and the solenoid. Now originally the solenoid was down here. That's the original spot, and I decided to move it up here. You can put it anywhere you want, just run wires to it. I put the controller over here on this side because of wiring reasons, and I have enough room over here. I thought about putting it over there at first, but this is better. So key switch. So these two wires coming out from your key switch. The power to the key switch is coming from here. There's your positive coming across here to this switch, which you can see that this is going to activate it when you put it in forward. Or reverse, neutral, see, forward. And so that's going to transfer your positive from here to the blue wire, and that blue wire is going to come down to the key switch, back up to here, and that's going to turn on your solenoid. So this is negative coming into your solenoid, and this is positive coming in from the switches to activate it, and then this positive goes over to your controller, the top connection on your controller, and that turns the controller off and on when all these switches are activated. And so as far as your solenoid goes, you've got your positive coming over your controller, the other positive running over to the positive. This would be your battery. So these solenoids have a pre-charge resistor on here, which gives just a little bit of power trickling across into your controller, so your controller has a little bit of juice in there. So here's the thing about this, is that you really don't need all these switches. You could just hook your key switch right to here and turn this off and on, but the reason why you need all this other stuff is because of this forward and reverse switch. You do not want this cart to be able to activate power through this switch when it's in this position, because this is what happens. You look at this one got burnt out. because if your switch is not all the way, if it's between, it's going to spark in there. It's got to be all the way. Yeah, this one won't even turn anymore. It's too, well, turn that way. But if it's not all the way in one position or the other, it doesn't have good contacts. If it's part way between and power goes through there, it's going to spark. It's going to light on fire. It's going to melt your battery or possibly burn your entire cart down. So that's the function of these, is to make sure it's only on. See, it's only going to be on when it's all the way that way or all the way this way. So that's how that works. Okay, so while I was working on this club car, I found this one and I had to buy it because look at that. You got to have something like this. A limo cart. It's a 2006, needed batteries. I had to put batteries in, but I ended up putting the battery out of that one in here, and I've been driving this one around. It's been pretty darn fun. It was an easy swap, I got to tell you that. I do have a video on that swap. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hook jumper cables from this one, but I'm going to go ahead and turn off that battery. That's what I like about, you get a good quality lithium battery. You just turn it off when you're doing stuff. We're going to hook up the negatives, positive. I'll take these ends. I'm just going to hook up this positive to this bus bar, negative to this bus bar. And then we're going to turn on the battery. Yep, there we go. Now we should have juice here. That's my on and off. Then we put this in. Let's go forward. Oh, you hear that? You hear that click? That is your solenoid coming on. Push the accelerator. Now this is forward. Look at that. Put it in reverse. This is definitely a heavy duty solenoid. Okay, so now we're in reverse. First in reverse. Look at that. That's fast. With this Curtis controller, the way this is wired up, I've got the same speed in reverse as I do forward, so you got to be careful with this cart. With these club cars, you hooked up 4 batteries for reverse, 6 batteries for forward. So now we're 48 volts, forward and back. Okay, I'm hooked to the positive and the negative. We've got 52.5 volts. Now I'm going to take the negative lead. I'm going to put it down here on the M1. And now we've got 0 volts. Now I'm going to push the accelerator pedal. You can see my voltage go up as I push it more. There's full throttle. We're getting 50 volts at full throttle. So I'm not quite getting my full 52 out of here. I don't know if the pop box needs to go more or if it's setting in this controller. But at this point, we're going to go ahead and put everything in and test drive it. Okay, the moment of truth. When you do that much work on it, you don't know if it's going to be awesome or not awesome. So keys on. Put it in reverse. Oh, solenoids engaged. Oh, so far so good. This cart's been parked for 4 months. Ever since we burned out our 3rd V-Glide, I decided, you know what? I'm not burning out any more V-Glides. We're going to fix this thing up right. Oh, snap! Woohoo! All right, it's been a couple weeks. This thing is working great. We took it on a 25-mile drive. Everything worked perfectly. We've got the solar hooked up. I got a battery charge controller on here. And yeah, so good. It's so fast. What we're going to do now is I'm going to show you how it compares to a stock club car. So this is a 2002. It's 11 years newer. It's got lead acid batteries. The V-Glide, everything's stock. I mean, this is factory, everything. Our 91 club car started like this before we started upgrading stuff. We'll show you the difference. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go! All right, that was pretty fast. This cart rocks. You can see how much faster it went than that blue cart. You should check out our adventure channel. We take these carts all over the desert, drive everywhere, check out old mines and airplane crashes and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. So yeah, great build. Definitely the way to go. Ditch the V-Glide. Get solid state into these. Way better. I spent almost as much money on V-Glides as upgrading. So I've got a video where we distance test all 3 of these golf carts and see how far this battery goes. Look for that video. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all in the next video.